Next up is a kid-friendly version of an important medical accessory.
I'm Paige Bratton, and I'm from Waimea, Hawaii, and I'm seeking $250,000 for 10%. My whole world changed when we found out she was blind. She was diagnosed with refractive amblyopia. Amblyopia shockingly affects 1 in 45 children by wearing an eye patch over the stronger eye to strengthen the vision of the weaker eye. That's why I created Seaworthy eye patches.
Super entrepreneurs, back to another Shark Tank. Today we have a super entrepreneur that was just on Shark Tank season 15. I thought I was going to say it wrong. 15, episode 1, with her business. I need you to stop what you're doing right now and give some super claps for super entrepreneur, Super Paige. Woo! Welcome, Paige.
Thank you. It's so nice.
You are so welcome. You're just so welcome. I'm so glad that we were able to make it happen, even though we're 6 hours apart in the time zone. It actually works out to my benefit, being on the East Coast.
Oh, good. Very rarely does.
So, all right, let's jump right into how were you feeling walking down this hallway?
You know, it's such a funny story, and I think now that we're done with all the like NDA stuff, I can tell it. They have, you know, different call times for different contestants, or my contestant, what am I? For different
super entrepreneur. Come on.
For super entrepreneurs, yeah. So my call time was like, be there, hair and makeup ready at 6 a.m. And so that means like get up by 5, which for Hawaii time means 2 in the morning. So yes. I do as I'm told, and they tell you don't bring any food on set. We're going to feed you, and they make you fill out all these forms about dietary restrictions. You know, so they've been so thorough, so meticulous throughout everything. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely getting fed. I did not get fed. I had no breakfast or any lunch, and I walked down that hallway at 1 o'clock. So I'm dying, and they're miking me, and they're putting the mic on, and the guy who's putting the mic on, my stomach is growling like fiercely loud, and he's like, you can't make that noise. Your stomach can't growl like that. The mic's gonna pick it up. I'm like, well, then you need to feed me. Like, I've been up since 5. It's 1 o'clock. My nerves have been crazy all day. Like, I'm starving, and so they like grabbed me a banana, like from the craft table nearby. And I was literally like, all I could think about walking down that aisle was do not choke on that banana. Just swallow the banana. Like, get the banana out of here so you can pitch.
I think I would be worried about throwing up at that point, you know, like would I be like, because of the nerves and everything, and you're so close and you're like shoving, like, is there gonna be banana in my teeth? Like, I don't know, like, I can't tell what's going on here.
It's really funny. Like, now that it's all over, it's really funny because I'm like, you know, you wait for it to come out, and you're like, oh my God, am I gonna look like I'm like getting banana out of my teeth? Like, how am I even looking while I'm swallowing this snap going down that hallway? But no, I was really, really nervous. Like you said, the nerves are really intense. Maybe the good news is this whole hunger banana situation made the nerves go away because I had to focus on something else. So.
So
I know. It's like, I'm going to walk on set and ask one of the sharks for a sip of their water, right? Like, as you're like trying to swallow.
Well, that would be something that I don't think has happened to date that I know of, at least. I mean, I don't, you know, again, I'm not the the Shark Tank historian or anything, but I don't think I've seen
I know.
That
so
happen.
It is a funny story, right? I mean, I think you probably normally get answers like, oh, I was really nervous. I felt really confident. I was like, I was just trying to eat a banana.
That's so weird. I mean, I know they move you from like room to room, you know, up until like the very end, and then you know, or sometimes you think it's the last room, but then it's not actually the last room, and it's almost like a disorienting tactic to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they like I said, they're a well-oiled machine. You know, they've been doing this for a while, and
that's why it's got to be on purpose, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not happening by accident.
They put you in one hotel the night before, and you're not allowed to go back there. They take you to a second hotel after you pitch, and I have to imagine there's some psychoanalysis reason about like the night before you had all these hopes and dreams, and if something didn't happen, you don't want to go back to that place because maybe somebody got violent there. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I'm telling you, at 5 a.m., I'm packing up my stuff to get out of there. It was a lot.
Yeah, especially on Hawaii time. There. Yeah, that's. I mean, at least you weren't on the East Coast trying to do it, right? Or even it's 3 hour difference there. So it's, I mean, it's bad, but it's not like 6.
No, it's not unheard of. And listen, people do stuff like that all the time. I'm just adding it to the story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you get into the tank, and the Sharks, you know, I mean, you have a great story, right? You have a great pitch. It's heartfelt, and it seemed like the Sharks were feeling that heartfeltness and feeling it. But at the end of the day, you wound up not walking away with the deal. But you got a lot of compliments along the way, which we've seen this in the past with other.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a love.
You're doing awesome, but keep, you know, not for me.
Yeah. Well, you know, as obviously you know, but probably the average bear doesn't know, is like you're in that tank for over an hour. And so there's a lot of conversations. And, you know, once I was done with the pitch, you know, they were all very intrigued by the condition, the eye condition, and the use of the product. And it was funny because they were all very empathetic and wanted to know about this, that, and how did I create it? And how did I figure out manufacturing? And all of those questions. And the whole time, Kevin O'Leary's like, numbers. And they're like yelling at him. They're like, leave her alone. We want to know the story. And it was like, some of that stuff was so funny. I'm surprised it was edited out. But, you know, like going over those numbers in that really intense way. Every time he talked, I was like, okay, I want to give you the numbers. They're like, no, don't. We're asking you questions first. I'm like, oh my God, who do I listen to? So a lot of my numbers weren't discussed for a long time when I was in there. Because as you might know from going to my website, I actually have 3 products under my umbrella, and they only talked about one on the aired show. But in the tank, we talked about all 3 products quite significantly. And the way it's edited would lead you to believe some of the things they were saying were about the eye patches, when really they were actually talking about the new bandage that I'm launching. So, you know, it's interesting how it all edits out. But, you know, they were all really nice. And some of them said things that were so nice that got cut out, edited out. Like Damon was so sweet. He was like, you know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'm taking my daughter to the eye doctor, and I just want to thank you for making me a better parent. You know, it was just so sweet and so genuine, and talked about it. And Mark Cuban, you know, you saw the part where he shared about his dad who had to wear it. That happened like actually much later in the conversation. And Lori, who, you know, before I went in there, I didn't really consider her much because I was like, I'm not really a QVC item. But once I was there, she happened to be someone who I felt like I connected more, just like in our back and forthness. And she has a lot of skin allergies herself, or sensitivities, I should say. So she was like, I don't know if you could see the different patches. She was like putting them all over herself and like peeling them off and you know, like, she was really interested in it. And she was super, super interested in the 3rd extension of my business, the Woundworthy. But, you know, yeah, I didn't get a deal. And I think there was part of me that was really, really nervous on that stage during that part where they're saying I'm out, and they truly coach you and encourage you to kind of like fight with the Sharks and be like, no, but you do want me. And I got really nervous about doing that because I felt like that was the Sharks' opportunity to kind of like embarrass you, you know, or put you down, you know, and that's kind of what the show is about. And that was one of my reluctancies to even go through this process because, you know, to me, the awareness was really important for me, helping spread the word that this is a really important thing to normalize patching, that it's the leading cause of childhood blindness, and it's so unsupported. And I mean, listen, there's a million great causes out there. You know, we all care about kids with cancer or anything, you know, but you know, if you've got 1 in 45 kids that are really, really vision impaired, you have to think about what that turns into as adults and your employee pool and who's driving the school bus and all those things. And it's preventative and treatable. And the awareness that as parents, and that was something that was discussed a lot but got cut out, was the American Board of Pediatrics says you should take your child to an eye doctor by age 3. Regardless of socioeconomics or wealth, most people don't, myself included. Even though I have a graduate degree in child development, my child was meeting all of her benchmarks. She wasn't walking into walls. So to me, that was discussed a lot in the tank. It got cut out, but that was something that was really important to Damon, and he talked a lot about it. But that's why I did it, So me not getting a deal, I was always reluctant to give up 10% of my business or more.
Well, okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. I think that it's I could see where I could see where you might think that QVC might not be the spot for this, but with the other brands, I think as a whole, I think you could have something there.
Oh yeah, no. I meant my naivety before actually connecting with her was that I don't know if she's right. But actually there in the tank, the back and forth was really good. And I was a little disappointed, and I almost nudged a little further with her, but I don't know what happened to me there. I got really nervous about nudging, and that's why you can see me beginning with thank you to each one of them, because I just didn't want to be put in a position to be told no twice or be embarrassed, because that was one of the things I was really concerned about when I went on it.
Yeah, and I mean, as a human, I could totally, and as a person who has empathy for others and wanting to bring something that's life changing to others, I could totally see that, right? That you'd be like, I don't want to paint myself in a light or enable them to put me in a corner that makes it look like I'm crazy lady person coming on show and I'm fighting and I'm ready to claw somebody's eyes out because I'm not getting a deal. And that might not even be an eighth or a tenth of what actually happened, but because you made a certain facial expression or a movement with your hands. Yeah, no,
and you watch him, and sometimes they're just cruel to someone, and I get it. That's the job. That's the show. And I mean, even at the very, very end, after everyone was out, I almost made the joke, well, it's really nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. But can I at least get a hug from a shark? I almost wanted to be cheeky like that. But then I was I don't know. Inside me was oh, if they say no, then that's really embarrassing,
Yeah, that wouldn't. And then depending how it was again edited,
but it was such a love fest. They were we love what you're doing. I'm taking my kids to doctor, all that stuff. So there was a lot of reason to believe one of them be oh my god, yeah, you're awesome, and they would have gotten up and given me a hug. But at the same time, there's the great chance that they're no, we're sharks, So.
Well, I think if you maybe had specified which shark you were looking for, but before I say that, the next question, the come thing, I don't think we've taken our kids to the eye doctor yet, and they are 7 and 5. So I think that it probably is time to correct that. So thank you very much, Paige. I appreciate it. It had not even really, and you know what? There's been a couple times where, my son or my daughter, they gave my wife and I pause and think can they not really see what's actually there, or that are they just messing around? Or now it's not every time, and there's just been a couple of instances.
It's you go to the eye doctor for eye health, not just for vision. Your optic nerve connects your eyeball to your brains. It's the first way to detect brain tumors in your children.
Yes, yeah.
It's not just vision. It's more than that. So that's why you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be working with my wife to make that.
I'm texting my wife right now.
No, I think. Well, I don't want to be rude to the interview or the super entrepreneur taking the time.
It's important to me too.
All right, I'll text her right now. Let me see here. Let's see.
And listen, there's not enough eye doctors to take care of every child, which is why, just going even to an optometrist is a great first step. You get a great litmus test, like great baseline. So
I'm literally texting her now. This is riveting content. I promise you. All right, texted. All right, so now, did you going into it? Did you have a shark in mind that you were looking, to get a deal with?
I mean, I guess you have to think about that, and it's hard because they only let you know who your sharks are going to be, because they revolve. Like Corcoran wasn't there. Corcoran wasn't there.
Robert wasn't there either.
Right. And so you don't know. And actually, they ask you, and I had to make like a document with all of the sharks that have like ever been there, and who you wanted to give this like samples to, and then they announce who the guest shark is. So it's not like it's like really deep seated in your mind who you want it to be, because you don't know who's going to be there. But once you do, I guess I was mostly aiming for Mark Cuban, because he has the new Cost Plus pharmaceutical industry business, and it just seemed aligned. When I was watching a lot of Shark Tank to prep for the show, when I say a lot, it's like maybe one episode if I can stay awake for an entire episode at the end of the day after prepping for all this. But he seemed the most likely to be interested or have the kind of deal I would want, or I don't know. There was just something that felt right about him.
Yeah, I mean, with the Cost Plus, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I was kind of surprised that he wasn't interested in it, or interested enough to want to make some form of an offer. As an update, so my wife said that she said, okay, they do get their eyes checked at the doctor, which they do. Now that I thought about it,
nope, not at.
But they're not actually looking into the eye, right?
That is the biggest misconception, that whatever happens at the pediatrician is having their eyes checked. They do not have the machines that can actually scan your eyes. Like
the Optimap, or I don't know if there's
any
of it.
Yeah. And then I had like one pediatrician that was awesome, and she was like in San Francisco, and she was like helping me a lot with this awareness, because she gets frustrated that so many parents think that she can. She's like, no, I don't have those tools. I can't afford them.
Yeah.
There are some handheld tools that are becoming more affordable, or machines, I should say. But, it's a lot for most pediatricians' offices to have those. I would say like 9 out of 10 of your pediatricians' offices are not going to have that.
So hold on, let me finish. So she said, I asked the eye doctor about it. I guess the optometrist that we go to about them when I went, and he said not yet. And then she said, guess we should take them. So there you go.
The American Board of Pediatrics says it. It's not really my rule.
Well, I didn't even mention you or this interview. Or I mean, she knows she didn't know who I was interviewing. She just knew
that's all right.
I had a call.
You can talk about me later.
Yes, well, we will. But even she came to that same conclusion. Or it's like, oh, well, did they check the eyes? Okay, thinking about. Oh, wait a second, and we get to the same conclusion.
Yeah, no, and that was funny, because like in the tank, they were like, yeah, it's funny. You go to a dentist by age 2, and those teeth fall out. Like, what's the point of that? And you need your eyes to see.
Yeah,
like your teeth, you can reconstruct much more easily. Vision is it's one and done. So
yeah.
But we don't. We're all just cheap. They tell us to go to the dentist, we go to the dentist. Like that's the thing.
Now, when you were putting together your valuation, how did you come up with your initial offer?
Oh, that number changed so many times. Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you. Like, it changed like every other week, based on different producers' opinions on things. And it changed, in fact, up to the night before we pitched.
Wow.
Each, producer had different opinions, and just given it's a niche, I don't know. I mean, we're not in the same economy as we were, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and
Not at all.
And the sharks are not taking larger. They want you. They're not looking at anything under 10%, and they want it's a really tricky equation, because you bring your number down, you bring their number up, then your evaluation changes, and then is your evaluation correct? And you're like, well, I don't really care about the evaluation. I'm just asking for X amount of dollars, and you want this much from me. But it also equates something that you have to be mindful of as well. So, it was just kind of landed on this final number, truthfully.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it is difficult, because we see, anything above $300,000, it's real tough to get a deal. It's, and I know, there's people in the comments that are, they're all billionaires. Like, well, no, they're not all billionaires. There's one, and then there's also Pete. But there's Mark, and then everybody else. And, even at 300,000, 250,000, like, that's a lot of money to commit to one business that may or may not, could go to zero tomorrow. Like, there's a lot of other ways they could spend that money and it not go to zero in 24 months,
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm not
so it's
doing
not
that myself. So.
No, I know, but
but
this is all risk for them too,
Yeah. No, I get it. And, and also, they make it very clear that just if you get a deal on the show, it doesn't mean you're really getting a deal.
Yeah.
You sign a lot of documentation that, this could just be TV, and you may never actually have a conversation with Mark Cuban or Lori or Dwayne or any of them ever. Like, you might just do it on set, you go back to your dressing room, and a team comes and tells you this is just TV. I mean, and that obviously didn't happen to me, but they do tell you it is possible that can happen.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely. I mean, I haven't, of all the interviews I've done so far, that hasn't occurred in any of the, well, at least I've been told in any of the interviews or any of the post interviews that I don't have recordings of, because we generally talk quite a bit after these interviews. But with that said, like, I mean, there's been plenty of instances where the deal just, they couldn't get to terms, or they waited so long to get to terms, then the episode airs, and then the valuation is it's not good. It's totally changed. It's totally off, because now they're doing all kinds of sales, and they're getting repeat sales, and the more time that goes by, the less they're like, yeah, let me take your $80,000, $90,000, $100,000
like,
deal.
I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, or I would still like it, but now it's got to be at this percentage, or it's at this percentage for this amount of money, or I don't need it at all. Like, it's you just
That's
don't.
Interesting.
You just don't.
Yeah,
know,
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised that could get really, really sloppy.
You can go the other way too. It could, totally be like, the reaction to this didn't seem like that great, and then the deal just evaporates.
Yeah, no. I think what we watch on TV is not the whole story at all. I know for a fact, but in that way, obviously some time has passed where, since filming. So, the more you work on this project, the more you want a deal, right? Like, that's what you're doing. It's what you're working for. So initially, when I didn't get the deal, I was a bit disappointed. But as time has gone by, I kind of feel really good about it. It's not, I mean, would it have been nice? Great. Like, but like you said, you don't know post, like, wrapping up the show, pre-airing, what's going to happen and how sloppy the deal gets off air, or if it really happens. And I mean, there's like one woman that was on set the same day as me, and we're like staying in touch on Instagram, and it sounds like it's going really, really great for her. And it looks like it's been a really wonderful experience and exposure. And, everything's just been completely smooth sailing with her deal. So that's like really cool for her. I'm really happy for her. But the situations that you're talking about, I think, are pretty common. And like I said, now that not so much time has passed by, I'm kind of feeling just grateful for the exposure and grateful for the experience. And like it was just, it's okay that it happened that way. It's really fine. I was really, really nervous about giving up 10% of my money, 10% of my blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because you don't. I've heard plenty of great stories like the one you just shared with your friend, and there's been a few out there that have not been so great.
Yeah.
But these are all humans dealing with human things and all these different issues and
egos
challenges
and money. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it can go the other way as well. And so my I guess my question is what empowered you to want to go on Shark Tank? Because I mean, it sounds like you had some reluctancy, as well.
Huge reluctancy.
I didn't want to under or overstate.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I guess.
And like, listen, I love the show. My reluctancy wasn't about a lack of love or respect for what they do. I think it's really awesome. I think it's amazing. It's fun. I love watching all the products and the people. I mean, obviously, like you, just like the businesses and how they tick. It's really, really cool. It's really interesting. But being the person talking to sharks is very intimidating. If you invited me to go on Good Morning America, I think I'd be like, yeah, let's get on that plane. That sounds fun. Let's sit on a couch and talk about me. Like, I don't know. Like, that's a lot easier. And not that I want to talk about me, but you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, this new product, like if it was like that type of setting, I'd be like, yes, let's do this. But Shark Tank, and you haven't asked, but I knew you will, reached out to me. So I was getting these emails from them like, is this spam? Why do I keep getting this? Who's this lady? And so I had to like kind of look her up. I'm like, oh my God, this is legit. And I had a talk with her and she was really sweet and wonderful and informative and great. So I was like, well, I guess what the hell, there's so many steps to getting to the actual stage. Didn't even seem likely that I was going to get there. So I was like, I guess I'll just, I'll do this first step of the application. After talking to her, she was so nice. And then they were like, you win round 2. And then it was like round 3. And it was like every week you just kept going and advancing. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of happened. It didn't just kind of happen, but that's how it happened.
Well,
I ultimately, that's okay. No. Ultimately, when I sat with myself, like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to swim with sharks? I sat with myself, and the part of my story when when we took my daughter to the eye doctor, and they said to me, which is something we talked about in the tank as well, but wasn't aired, like, your daughter is not only blind, her optic nerve is inflamed, and it could be caused by brain tumors. And so I had to wait, however many weeks to get the MRI and then those results. And it was a very harrowing time as a parent. And I remember sitting with myself and thinking, like, I can handle a blind kid, but I don't think I can handle losing my baby, and like brain tumors on a child doesn't seem like a really good prognosis. So in those like dark times, I sat there and I, made a promise to whatever you believe in. God, the universe, pact with the devil, I don't know. But I was like, if we're okay, and we wind up on the other side of this, all right, I promise, like, I'll dedicate my life to making this better and easier for other people. And it really was meaningful for me that she didn't have anything wrong with her brain and that she was a treatable condition. And I didn't know what that would look like. But after beginning the treatment, starting down that path of eye patching, and I realized this product was antiquated. Why can't I make it better? And then that's why it started. So when Shark Tank wanted me to do this, I was like, if I'm going to keep my end of this deal and I want to help as many people as I can, this kind of exposure is the way to do it, because I can't do it on my own single-handedly. So that was kind of how I made this. That's how I wound up moving forward to week 3, 4, 5,
Well, having the ability to bring this message to the masses, I mean, is such a blessing, right? And what, you know, the universe,
Yeah.
and or
like
God or whatever,
but
you know, whatever
well,
is willing
I don't want to get too
enable
spiritual
that.
on people, but it was a really, important thing for me to dedicate myself to making this journey better, because I knew how rough it was. And it's been a lot of hard work, but I love what I do. And I mean, in fact, this whole Shark Tank thing, the majority of response has been a massive amount of like fan mail. Just like so many people reaching out, talking about how they wore an eye patch as a child and it was so terrible, and thank you for what I'm doing. And I mean, that's kind of what keeps me going, And then, the second product is to help people with cancer. And that's, of course, rewarding to know that, I'm helping people have that difficult journey become better. And, the third one should help too. So, it's really evolved from just this one thing of vision. But all of the products help make difficult journeys better. And I'm really glad that's what I get to do for a living.
Ding ding, all that is incredible. Not everybody gets to do that, or have an opportunity to have a story and an experience that drives them to something that they might not have seen themselves doing prior to that journey, right?
Totally.
That journey that led them to where they're at, to take a whole nother journey down a path that is incredible for so many people, to be able to impact other people. And I mean, that's what this is, that's what we're doing here, right? That's what we're trying to do, is impact other entrepreneurs, super entrepreneurs to become more than just themselves, and create things that enable other people to enjoy their lives better, easier, and not just the people who buy the products, but also the people they employ, right? And get to work with from around the world. So no, I absolutely think that you embody all of that, and it's so great to see that you got to shine through, and not just get let down early on, like it's round 2 or 3 or 4, or like somewhere there, and not enable the message to get out there and be what's the word, like engraved into television history, right? And out, because it's not something that everybody thinks about. I mean, I have a few friends that are blind, and they had a progressive decline into the blindness, and it's not great, but they all have had at least my friends have had a really good experience getting to share their their journey into blindness, and what they've experienced, both post, like right at, like during and after that experience with other people, and helping other people see things that they might not notice. I mean, I know, like one of my best friends, Maxwell Ivy, he's called the Blind Blogger, and he had helped me like see patience, like getting to meet him and see like how much more patience I can drive out of myself, pull out of myself, because I don't know that I could, in my current state, I wouldn't be able to have those patience.
I have no patience. That is my worst characteristic, as I have very little patience. It's my terrible weakness, for sure. Maybe I need to be friends with your friend.
Yeah, well, that's why we had like really deep conversations just right out of the gate, getting to meet each other, and just getting to have that opportunity to see how because I honestly, before Max, I don't think I knew anybody that was blind, or at least blind to that level that like you can't see anything. So yeah, I mean that's great that you got to share that message and highlight your not only your business, but again, it's really like I keep going back to the message and the people that
I
you're getting to help
know.
rather than the business. Like
No, it really feels like that's what happened, and that's okay. I feel really good about that too. I mean, would I like a deal eventually from somebody? Of course, because as much as I love what I do, I realize I don't have the capacity to launch this the way other people might, or a team might, or and there's been a lot of people reaching out about acquisition, and it's interesting, and I'm vetting and I'm learning who's who, but just for an example, I'm making this up, but like a Johnson & Johnson can obviously sell bandages. They've been doing it. They have an ophthalmological division. Could they make this a more successful product than me? They could make it more successful than any entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, I'm only one person. Of course they can do that better.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. I wouldn't be so certain about that overconfidence in that.
Well, I mean, listen, I think I'm doing pretty well. I love what I do, but I'm not afraid to say that other people might be able to do it better. And that's okay, or do it better with me. So, I mean, maybe that's the opportunity that comes from here, But, I do strongly think that the cancer sector is 1 in 4 Americans, right? But I have this product that is like so unknown. I've had such a challenge getting this port-worthy patch seen or understood by anybody with cancer, and it really has a lot of potential, but I'm not seemingly getting the potential out there. And I think Woundworthy, I mean, it's just doing really well by itself already. I haven't even made any announcements or advertisements, and it's already selling on pre-sale by itself. It's crazy. So.
Well, when it comes to the port patches, honestly, I looked at it and I was like, I wasn't sure quite what I was looking at, right? And then I scrolled down. I'm like, without reading the words, it didn't occur to me until you mentioned cancer, and then I'm like, the only use that makes port wearing. So I had to really think about it, about what that meant, and so
yeah. So, I mean, even on Amazon, we can't use the keyword search cancer. They do that to mitigate snake oil cures, right? Obviously, I'm not curing cancer. I'm just trying to make that difficult time easier. A story I like to tell, or I don't like to tell, but, that's really on point for Portworthy is, we were moving into a new neighborhood just around the time it was launching, and I was meeting one of our neighbors, and she's like, "What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living?" And having that talk, and I mentioned I was launching Portworthy at the time, and she just broke down in tears. She just started crying, and I didn't know what to say, and she said, "My father just died because his chemo port became infected. The cancer didn't kill him, the port infection did." And she goes, "There was no product like this. There's no product like this. Nobody knows how to cover it. Nobody knows how to keep it protected. And here I am with this product." And I mean, listen, I don't know how, I tried to look up, I got various stats, like how common is a port infection? I don't know. But it needs to be covered, for even just to be comfortable. If you have a bra strap or a t-shirt rubbing against it, this is the only adhesive that's not going to rip out your chest hair. It's not going to disrupt the port because it's so gentle. And, you try to get into a Sloan Kettering or a Moffitt, talking to them, they're run by huge corporations. And it's really difficult to get your foot in the door if you're not having the type of representation that they want to see. But, we have a lot of people that do like it and support it. And, it's a great gift. Not, just people don't know what to do for a loved one that has cancer. So it does, if they need to get chemo, help them. But yeah.
No, I mean, it absolutely makes sense. I don't, I'm unaware of how many people get, I think I do know somebody along at some point in my life that had a port that got infected, but I don't think they passed away from it. But I guess it depends on how long it takes before they realize,
Well, yeah. Are you getting do you have a medical port for antibiotics because you had like an injury, or are you having chemo, which makes you have no immune system? So you're completely immune compromised during cancer. So it's another reason to just keep it safe and comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a lot of awareness and messaging about that, and that's been tough.
Yeah. And to go back to your comment about how these, Johnson & Johnson could make it like huge or whatever, like it's not that they couldn't, but there's been plenty of examples. Well, no, but not just Johnson & Johnson, but just in general, there's plenty of examples of giant companies making brands and not being able to find the right audience or capture that audience because they just can't. They just, I don't know, they don't know how to speak the language to the people in which they are trying to reach, and there's definitely plenty of examples of that. And even I think Browndages was an example of that, where they pointed out that 3M or whoever makes the Band-Aid brand, when they tried to make a brown Band-Aid, people were like, nope. And now, with that said, like they might shelve that product for a couple of years and then come back out with it after that the whole 2020 push and all that maybe isn't at the forefront of everybody's minds, and then be like, oh yeah, we got this, or they rebrand,
the supply chain issue of 2020, or the Black Lives Matter issue of 2020.
Oh, Black Lives Matter and all that. Yeah. So Browndages was doing a lot of business because people are like, yeah, we don't want that brand.
I understand. Well, I mean, I understand if you want something to look inconspicuous. We have a lot of people asking for inconspicuous eyes. And I was like, well, geez, I can't make a blue eye, a green eye, a brown eye, a dark skin, a light skin with a brown eye, a dark skin. It would be just like impossible financially. And we wound up making one. It's really interesting. It works really well. It's pop art eye. So it's like gray and red, and it winds up really blending with a lot of skin tones. And actually my PR agent at the time was like very, very involved with the Black Lives Matter. And she gave it the approval that it's not going to offend anyone, because I was really wanted to be sensitive to everyone, not just Black people, but like super pale people or Asian people. It's just, there's so many skin tones out there. And I wanted to be mindful of that. And that's why even our plain patches are white, like paper white, and or black, so because, and with the new bandages for Woundworthy, I did like a terracotta color that has like a different like levels of peach and orange, but that's like not nobody's skin color exactly, or blue, so, and then rainbow, but it wasn't like rainbow for Pride, just like different colors. Because I don't really want to go down that field at all.
Yeah, no, I hear that, and then it's having that many SKUs is tough, and that's why you end up. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that Browndages was winning the battle as well, was because unlike their the big brand where they wanted to stock like they want to stock like 2 or 3 hues of color, for skin tones, and Browndages is like, no, we're gonna have every all the whole rainbow of skin tones here, and that's going to be what we stand on to get people excited about wanting to on board with it.
And I totally appreciate that, and like in that way, like I love.
But it's a lot of SKUs.
There's a lot of SKUs.
For a small business.
Doing that, but that's like they're doing that. I'm doing something else, and it has to do with sensitive skin. And if I'm trying to just focus on sensitive skin, I can't focus on that and skin tones. So I just was like, make it blue, because no one's really blue. Yeah, what I mean, like where, but and if like the terracotta one, could probably blend in with a bunch of skin tones, but it's nobody's real skin tone.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's. I mean, they look great. So and you're
Yeah.
saying you're selling them without even having to
Yeah, I
sell
haven't
them
even
or
announced.
market
I
them.
haven't, no, in fact, just before this call, I was working on an emailer to like my emailing list announcing Woundworthy, but it hasn't gone out yet. And I think I put one post in stories, but like before Shark Tank aired, it was like selling 10 a day, which like it's not a ton of money, but or a ton of sales, but for something that's never been announced, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's 240 Band-Aids a day. A day. That's up really quick. 2,400
Yeah,
Band-Aids in 10
I
days.
have to go call my manufacturer and see if we should add on.
Right. I mean, you start stacking pretty quick. You get to like, have a couple days with like 12 or 15 and, bags of them. And next, like I said, it just starts stacking and people will go through them and then hopefully rebuy. Right. And that's a really a great opportunity for you to have another item that is a consumable that people will think once they buy, they will, 80+% of them will rebuy again. So that is really,
I mean, it's a new demographic, I think it's should be with the sensitivity part, baby boomer, which is of course our largest demographic here. But at the same time, I've already gotten messages from parents who, go to the site for my eye patch and are like, oh my God, my kid has a lot of allergies and we can't use regular bandages, but we know we can use your eye patch. We're already buying them and excited about that, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, I know my son or daughter had really bad eczema as a kid. So like this actually would have been great, though. I don't think we actually ended up using that many Band-Aids because I don't think she had that many times as she got, unlike my son who, falls a lot more often and things like that. But he didn't have the eczema and sensitive skin. So going back to Shark Tank, how did you go about balancing your life and your business and preparing for Shark Tank?
I mean, I like to be pretty scheduled. So, my days generally start pretty early. For better or for worse, my oldest daughter's a swimmer and I have to get her to practice by 5:30. So
whoa. Out the door by 5:30 or at practice at 5:30?
At the pool by 5:30. So we're out the door.
That is early.
Yeah. So I try to be constructive on my time, and whether that means making work calls or just getting my workout done then, or just answering some emails and getting ahead of the day. Like I try to be constructive about that time. And then usually once they're both off to school, if I didn't do my workout at 5 in the morning, I try to do it after they leave at 7:30. And some days it's more robust than others, but I try to be consistent about that one thing. I don't know, maybe because I was a swimmer, like you just once your body's worked that hard, you can't not do it every day. I don't know. And then I go to work. Whatever the tasks are in the day, I'm like a massive list maker. And during Shark Tank, the lists were like everywhere. They were on paper, they were in the phone, they were in the calendar. And, we'd have these weekly scheduled calls. So say if I knew that was Tuesday, I don't remember what day it was, that was like my day to really, prep on that. There's a lot of writing involved, which, to me is it's where it's like my favorite part of running a business is how much writing you get to do. And then, and then it's like by the afternoon, I was joking with my husband during some of this time, like, I need a kitchen installed in my car because if I'm driving kids between 3 and 5, how am I cooking dinner and I'm not working? And I was like a little stressed out. I was like, if I could just cook while I drive. And we live in like a terribly rural place, so you can't get like delivery food or even pick up anything. It's just so.
But you got good internet at least. Apparently.
Yeah.
Good enough internet.
Pretty good internet. Yeah, I could run a business. Yeah. So yeah, I was going a little nuts. I was definitely going a little nuts. And because we live where it's super rural, I kind of have to drive an hour to go grocery shopping every 10 days. So
In Hawaii, I didn't know that there was that much enough space for that to be physically possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we lived in Honolulu forever, pretty much from Honolulu, and that's a city, and you can get all the things. You're in a city, there's Whole Foods, there's Target, there's DoorDash, there's everything. But here, Hawaii Island, it's Big Island. I mean, I'm an hour to Kona, almost an hour. I'm about an hour and a half from Hilo. I mean, it's a big island. It is the Big Island. It is big. So if I want to do if I need to get the stuff I need for my kids, like for a family that eats a lot, you got to go to Costco and the Safeway, not just like the little. And I do love our neighborhood, grocery stores, and I use them as much as possible. And the farmers markets, which are really, really wonderful. But sometimes you just need like 3 gallons of orange juice. No, you know what I mean? Like you need your family if you've got kids, you go to Costco or something similar.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could definitely attest to that.
So yeah, I was going nuts a little bit, because I had to take like 1 day a week to, do this driving and take care of that. And then I got kids to run around, and you're under like a massive NDA. So you can't tell people why you're stressed out and why you have all this extra work. And for us, oh my God, right around the time where it was really getting intense, where I was having multiple meetings a week, I had one kid graduating 5th grade and one kid graduating 8th grade. And like the amount of emails you get as a parent, I think you probably like these memes and these jokes about these moms, like, yes, it is a full-time job answering the school's email. Yeah, just one kid. I'm getting someone separate for the other kid. It's so much. And like the volunteer for this and the bring the soda to that and the bring the brownies to that. I was like, by May, certifiable. Because it was just the timing of everything. And in Hawaii, it's a little bit different culturally, so 5th grade, I needed to get leis for everyone, and 8th grade, I get leis and getting the leis and the flowers and all the things that happen culturally, and it was just a lot of extra parenting during a time that was a lot of extra work. And then of course, grandparents staying at our house during all of this. It was a lot.
Yeah, well, kids are a full-time job. It's like the retirement plan, you're putting in for the retirement plan, so hopefully they take care of you when you're
yeah. No, it was my
when you're a kid.
Like 2 weeks before, it's my in-laws' 80th birthday. Like I actually feel like I should print out my calendar for May and just like put it on a wall. Like anytime anyone thinks that it's impossible to do something, you could just look at that month that I had, because it was wild. Every single day had a massive event.
I hear you. It's and mine are only in kindergarten and second. So
yeah,
we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah. No, and like, listen, they're all good things. They're all wonderful things. And you keep trying to tell yourself, like, don't be stressed out. These are good things, And, but Shark Tank's like, you've got this deadline. We need you on a Zoom. I'm like, but I got a graduation. Like, we need you on a Zoom. It's just like so much happening. So
that is tough. As somebody who preaches the balance of life and boundaries and things like that, I know it's tricky, and that's why I ask about it, because I think it's important for other people to hear the struggles, the challenges, things, all to have an opportunity.
Yeah, my husband had started a new job, so he was still.
Oh wow!
He couldn't like take off work to come drive kids because he was in a new position himself. Like, how do you say to your boss, like, hey, I know I've only been here for 6 months, but I need to take off at 3 every day now? I mean, like, that doesn't work. So yeah, I was really overloaded. I really need a vacation. But I don't know when that's happening. But
you should go to Hawaii. I heard it's a really nice
I know. And I love that joke, let me tell you. No, because I get it. You live in Hawaii, but at the same time, I'm still doing laundry. I'm still going to the grocery store. I'm still, helping kids with homework, listening to them cry about what's happening in life, and, running a job, paying rent, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. But I said a vacation. I didn't say you should go live in Hawaii because living requires all those other things. It comes with you, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why the people that visit here might be smarter. I don't know.
It is on my docket to get there in the next year or two. So we'll see. We'll see. So how did you go about preparing your business for potentially getting to air on Shark Tank?
Yeah, so that's a tough one because they really tell you do not have extra inventory, do not do anything in anticipatory sales because I'm sure somewhere along the line somebody said I want my money back, you know, and so they tell you not to do that. But I've already had a situation where I sold out, so you know I don't want to do that again. But I also recognize I'm a niche, you know, so it was kind of a tough call on what to do. But, you know, we looked at inventory levels and decided, okay, well, if this amps up, say, 3 to 5 times because of the show, how much time do we have left until we sell out? And, you know, we have to make, you know, orders anyway. Might as well do it now or later. And because there was so much discussion in the tank about Woundworthy, I for sure thought they were going to air that. So I wasn't going to go into production for Woundworthy for a while. I wasn't sure when I would launch that. I was still kind of mulling it over, maybe waiting for, I don't know what I was waiting for. But since Lori had talked about it so much and I was just so certain that it would air, I was like, well, I better have this product ready to go. So we put our order in to manufacture, you know, just replenishing inventory for general, like in general ways, but maybe a little sooner in case there was a big bump. And we added Woundworthy, and honestly, I think it was perfect. You know, we're all ready to go, and I don't feel like I lost anything or did anything, you know, crazy about it. So, you know, we did that. And you can't really tell anyone or make announcements about Shark Tank until they give you this email and tell you how to do it and all that stuff. So I, you know, I just did all the Instagram, you know, posting that they let you do once you're announced. And that was all I did, really.
Now, did you find that you were like, once you were done with you know, getting prepared to go to Shark Tank, that you had a whole lot more time in your schedule, in your carefully crafted schedule, to be able to slot in Woundworthy in that place? Or did you, was it a struggle for you?
You know, the kids were out of school, so I had, you know, 2 children by my side while I worked all summer. So there's that. Yeah, I was done with Shark Tank, and then I, you know, didn't have kids at school all day anymore. So I worked on Woundworthy. They're used to me working, and, you know, they're older now, so they can, like, go to a pool by themselves a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, you just do it. You just do it. You just wake up and get your work done. I'm very lucky. My children like to sleep late, so I just wait in the summer. So I would just like wake up and get my work done while they were sleeping. It's the only way to do it.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew what that was like. Maybe someday.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's like one of my greatest blessings in life. Like, they love to sleep late.
It's time. My daughter, man, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, she'll still be like, I can't sleep. And then by 6:37, she's up anyway. Like, she's up regardless.
Well, I probably then shouldn't. My teenager, I mean, and she's burning the candle at both ends constantly with the swimming. She had like no school on Thursday, like for some teacher day thing, and she went to bed at 9 o'clock the night on Wednesday night and slept till 12:30 on Thursday.
Wow.
I was like, are you alive?
Oh man, that is. I wish I could sleep that long.
I've never been.
I think only one time in my life I was able to do that. But
no, she's an amazing champion sleeper. I am not. I've never been able to do that. Really good at it.
So speaking of sleeping, did you end up having a watch party, or did you sleep on having a watch party?
Oh, so, back to parenting. Friday the 29th, the night that it airs, and I'm in Hawaii and I couldn't get it. I mean, I tried I'll spare you the details between AT&T, like DirecTV. I took my butt to a sports bar thinking they'd be able to get me to watch it live by 2 o'clock. No, they couldn't make it happen. I mean, it was like, there was no way I was watching. I watched it on FaceTime with my parents on the mainland at the 8 o'clock first viewing, right?
Okay.
And then, of course, when it would have aired here at like 7 o'clock was when my sixth grader was debuting as Taylor Swift in a school performance. So I had to go watch her. Like, I couldn't just be like, sorry, I'm going to go watch TV. I just had to DVR it and go to my child's performance. Like, what do you do? Like, you got to do it, right?
You absolutely.
So I, have like a year of preparation. I'm dying to see how they've edited me to make sure they haven't made a fool of me. Like the whole world's laughing at me and I don't even know because I'm watching Taylor Swift dance on stage at, a 50-pound version. And so, yeah. So then late night that night, I got to watch it a little bit. And then what we did is we just had like a little watch party on Saturday night, with just mostly like my kids, friends, and their parents, the invite was like literally only went out to people who had reached out to say like, congratulations, when are we watching it with you? Like those were the only people I then replied. I was like, you can come over at 5 for like pizza and drinks, 6 o'clock viewing, 7, you're out. Like I'm done. Like that was the invite. Because I was so exhausted from like the week of preparation, and I had some friends that did fly in from Honolulu to be with me, and the Taylor Swift extravaganza the night before. Like I just knew it was going to be a crazy weekend, and I was like, I'm not having a rager here.
Well, there's your example of no patience. You let everybody know in advance. I'm kicking you out 7 o'clock.
And then I've been up since 5:30 in the morning, like 3 days this week as a school, swimming. Like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm going to wake up at 6 regardless tomorrow, so I can't have a party here. But, no, actually it was awesome. It was perfect. It was totally perfect.
So with all that, did you get to track the sales, the traffic and all that, like being, because when it aired in the East Coast, it was only 2 o'clock. So were you able to?
There were we had a bump in sales for sure after that on my website, which was cool. My website has been, we've always wanted to migrate more traffic to my website versus Amazon, and it's just been a really difficult thing to do. We've had a couple peaks and valleys, but I get it. You're a busy mom. You got to buy eye patches, baby food, diapers. Amazon's your one-stop shop. I get it. Yeah, we even have like different pricing, better pricing. I mean, we fulfill within a day or two. I mean, we do the same exact stuff. It's just really hard. But it was really cool to see so many sales on our website that day, and that carried through. It's still a little bit better than normal, but it's not wild. It's not like I'm going to buy a Porsche tomorrow. And Amazon had a bump, but then it's been real back to normal because I think Prime Week is next week, and I think like we see a dip every time before
Prime Week is today, actually,
or Prime, yeah,
or today, or today and tomorrow is like Prime Day.
Yeah, so
I took advantage of it, but not from Amazon. I went to Best Buy and got something that was on because they're running their sale to keep up with Amazon.
Yeah, so traditionally, I think a lot of products see a dip right before the Prime. So, unfortunately, it didn't time well with our Shark Tank thing. But it's okay. I'm getting a ton of emails, a lot of opportunities like this, and we'll just, see where it goes. It was good. It was a really cool experience. So
No, I'm glad that you, even though you didn't get to walk away with the deal, it was you so positive about it, and I think that again just speaks to the awesomeness and the superness of you and the business that you're building and the reason that you're building it, and how it can help so many people out there. So I greatly appreciate you, Paige.
Thank you. No, thanks. Like I said, I love what I do. And I mean, I just think it's the greatest thing. I get to make difficult journeys better, you know? And it's like, hey, we all know getting older is not fun. I'm going to have that same thin skin any minute now. And, you know, the bandages I think are kind of fun. I have had such fun responses from our test groups with it. I think there's to be a lot more fun advertising with that. And, you know, just it can be used by anyone, but it's mostly, you know, older people with thinner skin. And yeah, I mean, the work-life balance is just getting a little, well, we were hoping it would get a little easier after all the Shark Tank stuff, but now we're back, you know, but you figure it out, right? We all do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So speaking of figuring it out, what did you figure out as a kid that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Oh God, I was like one of those people that didn't know what she wanted to do until this. It took me like 45 years. So, in fact, like one of my memories of a childhood memory was like, I think I was in 3rd grade and a classmate had a birthday party that you had to dress up as what you want to be when you grow up. And I was like crying, my poor mother. I was crying. I like to the minute to the party was going to go. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I can't go to this party. And like, I was really stressful. I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. You know, my undergraduate degree was in English and writing, and I love writing. And I was writing for a while, but you're not paying rent or eating when you're writing. I was super naive about that. And then I went back to graduate school for education, and I taught in various ways, but I taught kindergarten, I've taught the collegiate level. I taught everywhere, but again, I like to, I guess, eat, and there wasn't a lot of paychecks involved in teaching either, especially in Hawaii.
Get exposure and
yeah, no. I mean, in Hawaii, when I was teaching at the collegiate level, I had like an overpacked schedule. I was making like $18,000 a year. Like, how do you live off of that? How do you pay rent? How do you eat? You know, and so. Anyway, I went that, and then after that, I started my first business, and I got really lucky and sold that. It was a retail business, and yeah, and then actually after I sold that, I shortly thereafter got pregnant with my first daughter. So it's just been kind of a series of different, you know, I worked in New York in editing, I worked in licensing. I've really tried a lot of different things. This is the first thing that I really feel a lot of conviction about. You know, this is what I'm meant to do.
Well, I can certainly say I feel it. So it's great to know when somebody has reached that ability to know what it is that they want to be, and a lot of times it's rooted in something that we as kids wanted but didn't know that we, you know, what path we were going to take to get to that thing that we actually want, right? Like, oh, I want to be a firefighter or whatever. It's like, because I like helping people. Well, you didn't end up being that, but you ended up helping people in a different way or a different life.
The only like thing that I guess I really wanted to be when I was little is it's sort of embarrassing. I was obsessed with seals, like harbor seals, or, you know, pinnipeds. Like, you know, like a lot of 3 or 4-year-olds will like memorize every type of dinosaur or airplane. Like, I memorized all 150 species of seals.
Wow.
And I know, like my poor parents. And so I'd be asking my mom like all kinds of questions. She's like, all right, we're going to just take you to a library because I can't answer this about this, you know? And so basically I wanted to be a marine biologist. Like, and in fact, I went to University of New Hampshire as a marine biology major because they have their own private research island. It's a really, really great marine biology program. But I'm not very good at science. So my dad had I was very fortunate. My parents paid for college, and he had one rule: you fail it, you buy it. And I was like spending every day and night with these science professors and the TAs, like crying so I wouldn't fail it or get a D. And then of course I was taking these writing classes and getting A's and not trying. And I was like, I think that's maybe the direction I should go. And that's how that changed. But I mean, I don't know what I was going to do with seals anyway. Like, I just wanted to hug them. I mean, I didn't really think I wanted to, like, I want to swim with them and hug them. I don't know if I really knew what being a marine, I don't think I really knew what I was thinking I wanted to do. But, like, I wanted a pet seal, like, instead of a dog.
That could have probably been cheap. Well, I don't know about cheaper, but it could have been about the same price as college if you had,
Yeah, no. I'm very grateful I went to college. I'm very grateful I don't have a seal as a pet at the moment. And so, yeah. But
So
I didn't know what
what does the future of Seaworthy, which is also C, right?
Yeah.
SEA.
Yeah.
And
so CSEE, yeah. So
yeah. But I'm saying SEA as in not sea lions, but the
ocean.
The ocean.
Oh,
right.
seal. Yeah.
Seal,
So,
right? So I'm saying, like, there you go. There's the connection right there.
Yeah. There you go. Well, no, I've always been, a water person. We joke that I have gills. If I don't get in the ocean a couple times a week, it's not good for anyone. So, I'm really lucky. My girls do the same way. So, my husband has to deal with some mermaids. We just have to swim a lot. And anyway, but the thing that happened on Shark Tank 2 was, like, we talk about Seaworthy the whole time. We now have this sort of branding and marketing conundrum because everyone doesn't know that I'm actually Worthy Brands. So I've been just trying to navigate that. It's a weird thing because I don't want to rechange the name of my brand because that's not going to work. But just like capitalize on some of the seaworthiness. But yeah, coming up with the name Seaworthy was hard. We had like Eye Patch Kid. No, we had like Eye Patch Club, or like, we had like all these different names that we came up with. And we couldn't really, they weren't really sitting well. But I knew a really big portion of what I wanted to do was give a portion of proceeds to early detection, early vision screening detection programs. And so I knew there was a give back part, big component of that in my business plan. And actually it was like a friend was like, well, why don't you just call it Seaworthy, like SEE worthy, because you're giving back. And I was like, it was the best. It was like a guy was like, really, like, I'm not feeling the name. And I was like buying all these domains on GoDaddy. And
I know that feeling.
Yeah. I had like 1 million of them for eye patches, eye candy, this, that, and the other thing. And in any case, we landed on Seaworthy, which was really awesome. It just fit perfectly with my love of the sea, and it spelt the right way for vision. And then Portworthy just kind of made sense. And honestly, I don't think Woundworthy it doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But I mean, listen, we're open to suggestions.
So what is the future? I mean, well, that's, first off, that is tricky and we've seen that before too on Shark Tank, where the businesses change names and then you're trying to adjust, because it's like nobody, if 500 people knew who you were prior to Shark Tank, changing the name would be a lot easier than like, oh, now we did Shark Tank. It's like, now it's out there everywhere. How do I make that adjustment? And so I definitely feel for you on that. It is tricky. And the Woundworthy, I mean, I don't hate the name, but it doesn't quite.
It's not as amazing as Seaworthy.
No, it's not. But that's one of those things where it's like when the name comes out, like when it hits you, you'll know it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we did all the branding and trademarking for Woundworthy, but if it evolves, it evolves. And Worthy Brands as the overhead, like, thankfully was on the Shark Tank display. So, it was there. It was just so much talk about Seaworthy. I think that's where some of the confusion comes in, or just like lack of direction to find us. But Woundworthy, I mean, who knows? Maybe we just become Worthy Brands bandages, you know?
I was just, what was it? Well, so is the word, are you allowed to use the word band? Because I was thinking like band worthy or something like that.
Oh, like like Band-Aid?
Band-Aid, yeah.
Band-Aid is registered trademark to
Yes,
Johnson.
no, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that, but like band worthy versus Band-Aid.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't want to do any legal tangos with Johnson and Johnson. But and I also like, yeah, I think C worthy says like you're for vision, right? And port worthy is for medical port. Like the word, like band doesn't say what it's for as well either, you know. But you know, we thought about bandage. I mean, and maybe it just we interchange it. Maybe it becomes worthy wounds instead of wound worthy. It's a little better. I don't know. That just came up right now.
There you go. I mean,
that right now.
I mean, it makes sense too. But I don't know. Me as a stickler for like conformity of it, like I hate putting the worthy in front of the, you know, that kind of thing. But it doesn't sound
maybe
bad.
Worthy bandages is better. You know, obviously I stuck with the conformity. I did it woundworthy. I mean, we tried like ouch worthy or. We even thought about just making it more positive, like instead of ouch or wound, like heel worthy.
Boo-boo worthy.
Yeah, we know that was floated. You know, but yeah, like more of the positive, like heel worthy, mend worthy. But it just didn't. It's nothing. You know, we just wound up with wound worthy. It's all right. I think people look at like images, like they see the graphics, they see that's the one they want, right? Like when you're in a store, well, let's put it this way. Like now that I'm old and I have to wear these glasses, like shopping's a real pain in the ass, right? Because sorry to curse. So
it's all right. We're this deep into the podcast. I'm not worried about it.
You're going to edit it out. But like, no, I'll be shopping and I got to get my glasses out of my purse and be, but if I can recognize the graphic on the box or the bottle or whatever I'm buying, you know what? It's boom, it's done. I don't need to get the glasses. So I think it's how a lot of people shop anyway. You know, whether it's online or in person, you know your brand, you know what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean that's why they pick specific colors and shapes, and it's all, you know, play tested and stuff, and like I said, sometimes it works to the you know umpteenth degree, and sometimes it flops. It doesn't make it there for whatever the reason. But so is there in the future, is there other items that you have in the pipeline that you're willing to talk about?
Oh, no, you know, woundworthy, I feel like is going to hold me, you know, for a while. Like, I don't think I want, I mean, I keep being asked about the, like, diabetes glucose monitor patch, I think it is. I don't think I want to enter that world anytime soon. I never say never. You know, I actually had a call this morning that was interesting with someone who thought that, you know, I could pair well with another diabetes product. So, you know, maybe it would happen sooner than later, but I don't know. I feel like 3's pretty good for a while right now. You know, they're each kind of like children. Like you have 2. Do you want 3 and 4?
I mean, if I didn't have to like do all the things, or push things onto my wife to have more to do, exactly. Absolutely. But with that said, like I think it's important. We've seen this many a times where companies overextend themselves to a point where you have 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 products that are all doing okay to like not great at all. Versus like, what if I just had, what if I had like 1 or 2 or 3 that like I could push really hard and go like and get a lot of sales and be able to meet those goals that I'm trying to accomplish with those, rather than diluting my, because you only have so much time, right? You get time, energy, and money, right? Those are the three things, and they are the three resources that in order that I feel are most important, right? It's the time, then the energy, then the money. And you only got so much time. So you can amplify that a little bit by, expending energy and money to get more people on the board to help you. But then that also sucks up more of your time and taking away from the things that you enjoy about doing what you do. And how you do it.
Yeah, no, and we're lucky because Portworthy is exactly the same product as Seaworthy. So we basically, it's exactly the same. So in terms of manufacturing and whatnot, it was easy. I just, used my same branding. We just changed the colors and made it Portworthy. So it's just different marketing, different packaging. And, Woundworthy, we decided, change the shape and make it a more traditional bandage. But so for now, I think it's really good to manage those three. I actually had someone reach out, a nurse from, I forgot what department in a hospital, but where they do tracheotomy, surgeries, and she wanted to try my patches for post-surgical there. Again, she her email detailed the fact of all the reasons it would be perfect: the shape, the size, the materials. So again, if I can roll into the same exact product for a different cause, well, great. But I don't know if I want to enter how many new sects I'm going to be entering, anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, because there's only so much opportunity to market to those people, and again, you only so much time, energy, and money to be able to go and give love to each of those products to make sure that they're giving you they're paying their rent for the amount of space they take up, and how they could take 100%. Away from what somebody thinks of the brand. I think of it as eye patches, not necessarily as bandages, or I think of it as port patches versus bandages, or bandages versus port patches, or eye patches. So it's tricky, but because you're using the same material, the same adhesive, and things like that, I think over time, I think you could definitely get there without necessarily needing, a huge team to do it. Once you've pressed each of those buttons far enough that they become effectively cash cows for you, right?
Yeah.
You're selling the bandages, and it's
I just want to focus on those three, see how hard we can drive them, and then I could think about a different product.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it wouldn't hurt though to at least do some experimenting with the trach thing. Just even if anything, because you have the opportunity there to just keep it in your back pocket for the future, of that.
Yeah, no, totally.
So how can everybody get your products, get in touch with you, social media, et cetera?
No, I love our website. It's www.worthybrands.com. So worthybrands.com, and I'm on Instagram as Worthy Brands, and I love the following there because I just think it's a pretty nice, supportive community in terms of, the people that have, had to deal with their children patching, or people going through cancer. They're all people that really understand going through tough stuff. And, and back to those products, the first two were really born out of necessity because of somebody I loved going through it, my daughter and my dad. And, the third one is, just a lot of old people that I love. And, but it's got to feel impactful and right too. But yeah, we're available on, all the social medias as Worthy Brands, but I think Instagram seems to have a lot more engagement and support. And it's just it's a great place to showcase different products and what's happening and what's on sale or what's in stock where or what,
No, that is awesome. One thing I forgot to ask was how did you end up coming across my video?
That next morning after it aired, a couple different people texted it to me, and I know my dad was one of them. A few East Coast people had sent it, so I woke up that morning and there was a lot going on my phone. So But definitely my parents were one of them. So.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Paige, for coming
Oh, you're
on here. I
welcome.
really
Thank
appreciate you taking the
you.
time, sharing your story and
Yeah,
sharing
thanks.
where you're at and where you're headed and all that. And I gotta tell you, of all the people, and I've interviewed hundreds and like
Oh,
probably
wow.
400 or 500 people and have asked that question to what was your childhood dream growing up. I think there might have only been one other person that had said they didn't have one growing up.
No, I really did. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then I'm the only one that made you text your wife too, I think.
That probably there might have been
Maybe.
one other. Look, my interviews go back to 2014, which is almost a decade ago. So like,
yeah, it's a lot.
This might be a little fuzzy at this point, but I think so. I think this might be definitely on video. This is the only time on video that I stopped to text my wife. But again, Paige, I really appreciate it. You're welcome to come back anytime. Please keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And yeah, it was great talking with you.
Oh, likewise. And thank you for making it all the way to the end. If you haven't watched Paige's interview with the Sharks, pitch on the Sharks, click on up here. If not, I'll see you in the video down below. Take care and go be super.